My colleague Ellen Albertson and I did a study of this magazine. You may have seen it. It's called Women's World. And so I noticed just anecdotally in the grocery store years ago that Women's World always had these mixed messages. We've come to call it eat cake, lose weight, because literally on like 90% of the covers, it will have a picture of a recipe. They're usually like a holiday related cake, and then they'll have a major diet claim. So we did a content analysis and we looked at every single headline from a bunch of these magazines and found that that was the consistent theme. It was always eat cake, lose weight. There was always a cake recipe. And there's also what we call a centerfold meal. And Ellen, being a dietitian, analyzed the calories from those, and she found that the single like holiday meal that they would have in the center had about 1,700 calories. And then there would always be a diet, but I use that term loosely because it would be like a little square where they say like eat 1/4 of a cup of chicken and you know, a banana or something, you know, and it's not something that you would then take on and do for the rest of your life and live happily ever after. So the message is weight loss is easy, and how you do it is there's a magic bullet or a trick and it will immediately happen. And the other message is, and make highly caloric meals and make cakes, you know, on a weekly basis and do all this stuff. So now I'm doing an experiment that shows people either these magazine covers or a control magazine, which is just eating well, which has usually pictures of like a strawberry or a piece of corn or something on the cover. And we want to see if exposure to these magic bullet cures makes women believe that magic cures do actually fix things quickly. And would they be likely to want to try those methods or be interested in hearing more about these diets and things? And also, here's a link to anti-fat attitudes. After thinking about this for so long, Ellen and I decided that one of the messages women get from these magazines is weight loss and other things are fixable by magic bullets. They're fixable by quick things. And so therefore, if you are overweight, for instance, there's something wrong with you, because if you just get it together and take this herb, eat this potato, whatever, yeah, you're done. So if we're just starting that study now, we want to see if that would be the bad part, right? That you would feel bad about yourself and other people, and you'd go through a cycle of blame because you'd start to believe that only thing I need to do in life is find what the quick fix is, and all the troubles will be over. So that's a series of studies, but it's not about the losing weight, it's about the being comfortable with yourself. And we get so many messages from the media that say you have to be a size 0, beautiful, tall, this, that, and the other thing, or else you're not okay. And there's all these products that we're supposed to buy because they're telling us we're not okay until we get into this. If we just could get into that perfect thing that we know we're supposed to do, everything would be fine. But, you know, the stats are that across ages, from childhood to middle age and beyond, women are dissatisfied with their body. And it doesn't matter if you're thin, if you're bigger, you're probably dissatisfied. If you're a woman, you could probably guess you're dissatisfied. I feel like it's almost got to the point where people are tired of hearing people talk about negative body image in the media, because one of the reasons is nothing really has helped. You know, you can educate people, you can measure feminist women's attitudes toward body image, and it's just as bad as non-feminist women. So nothing, you can't just tell a woman, oh, you don't need to be a supermodel, and they'll be like, oh good, whew. Now I can use all that energy elsewhere. It's not like that. It's not cognitive. I think it's unconscious. I think it's emotional. And so I started to try to steer Ellen into something that would address that. I said to Ellen, you know what, I'm a meditator, and I've read a bunch of literature on all kinds of areas that meditation increases well-being. So I said, why not body image? She found a lady named Dr. Kristen Neff, who's in Texas, and she does a brand of meditation called self-compassion meditation. And to make a long story short, that's what we decided to use. One of the things she begins with is she's explaining what self-compassion is. Basically, I think of it as the idea that if you look at someone else, you don't tend to be that judgmental towards them, but if you look at yourself, you're very judgmental. And so how can we take the amount of compassion that we would apply to other people and give it to ourselves, because we really need it. Negative body image is related to low self-esteem, lower psychological well-being, increased depressive affect, lower overall quality of life, less energy, more fatigue, less interest and enjoyment in sex, marital discontent, unhealthy behaviors, decreased flow as in peak experiences, and disordered eating. So just, you could go on and on. There's so many unhealthy things about negative body image. And I agree with the feminist writer Naomi Wolf that one of the things about it is it just sucks all the energy out of women. We could be thinking about something else, doing something else, feeling great about who we are, but instead we've got this energy suck that tells us we're supposed to be something else physically other than what we are. And so it's a massive problem, it's a widespread problem. Normative discontent is the name they're using for it in the literature now, because most women are discontented with their bodies. So Ellen and I took on a study in which she was really great at advertising and getting a lot of participants. She had over 500 participants, and her advertisement just said, "You want to feel better about your body?" And just that little thing seemed to be very persuasive. So she got, women everywhere were saying, "Yeah, I want to feel better about my body." And so it was a controlled trial experiment in which half the people got our meditation treatment right away, and the other half were waitlisted, and then they eventually got it. And we compared the difference between the two. So she recruited these women, put them either in the experimental group or the control group, and then all she didn't have any conversations or other contact with them. All she did was send them the meditation podcast, which is free on selfcompassion.org. It is Dr. Kristen Neff created this in line with her views on self-compassion, and it's very low tech. It's just Kristen talking and saying, may I be safe, may I be kind to myself, and just repeating things like that. So there was a pre-test to see where they were with their own self-compassion and their body image issues. Then they all meditated, and then there was a post-test, and what she found was really strong, powerful effects, that the people who had meditated gained a lot in their own personal self-compassion, and they also gained positive body image, lost negative body image. And one of her measures was really fascinating to me. She measured the degree to which the women felt that their self-worth was based on their appearance. And after doing these self-compassion meditations, they felt that way less. So they were less likely to believe that their self-worth is based on their physical appearance. So, and usually in studies, you're trying to get to see if something works, and maybe it works a little. In her study, it worked like an explosion. I mean, it was powerful. And then we did a 1-month follow-up, and the women who had these positive effects were still having them then. So just a little thing, a 20-minute podcast, just a guided meditation. You don't have to be a meditation guru or achieve nirvana or anything like that. It's just listen to this little podcast on your iPod. Part of my ultimate plan with this is trying to get that shared suffering on the table, have people talking to each other and saying, wait a minute, why is it that people who are trying to sell us things are taking away some of the joy out of our life? People who want to sell us weight loss products and tell us how we're supposed to be and that sort of thing. Why is it that we can't come out and say, no, we're all suffering and this needs to stop somewhere?